This is a toy airplane. It has two motors, 2.4 gigahertz remote control, a silicone nose cone to hopefully keep it from hurting things when it smashes into them. I was sent this to review for free. The MSRP on it is $40, but I've seen it listed as inexpensively as $25 online. So in addition to the airplane being foam, the packaging it comes in is also styrofoam. It's essentially an EPS foam body. It has two motors. There is a little antenna down here. There's an opening right here for a battery or an off switch. The remote control here will require that you provide your own 3 AAA batteries. And it includes some extra pieces here that I believe we are going to have to snap on here, so it will not fit in the box after you snap these on unless you take them off again. It includes 2 propeller guards that are not installed, and you'll have to snap those on if you want to have the propeller guards on. And it includes 2 lithium-ion batteries and a USB port battery charger. And it looks like this charger can charge 1 battery at a time. There's also lots of accessories here. So we have 2 spare propellers for each side. We have a rear landing gear and a front landing gear. And we have a rubber silicone nose piece in case this silicone nose piece comes off. So this is basically a hollow nose piece. And so when it hits, it'll kind of deform back into the foam there. So the whole thing is very lightweight, as you would expect from kind of a lightweight battery-powered flying object. We also have a manual that tells us how to do things. Alright, I plugged the battery into the charger and the red light on the charger came on. When you plug the charger into the wall, it's going off. So the manual says that while it's off, it's charging, and when the red light turns on, it means it's fully charged. It says it'll take about 50 minutes to charge an empty battery. Alright, installing the protective frame, you basically just push it against the motor here. I'm going to have a finger on the opposite side. It snaps on, and that will protect the propeller from hitting the ground. The propellers are color-coded for A and B side, so the red one is on the A side, and that's on the right side of the plane as you're looking at it from the top, and then the B side is the blue one over here. Alright, so the manual told me how to install these guys, but it's not saying anything at all about these guys here. It sure looks like you simply put them in and then push them forward, based on the direction of the hooks and so forth. Well, I got it on, but I'm not sure it hooked well. Well, it's hanging on. I don't know if these are necessary for flight or not, but I think I'm going to put them on. They talk about lifting off from the ground. They don't talk about how to put these in, but I'm going to make an assumption here that the one that goes sideways is in the back and the one that goes frontwards is in the front. And the real question is, which way do I put this spring? And I don't know if it matters. So the box picture shows the loop facing backwards. And I'm not sure if it will fit this way. There we go, yep, it fits. All right, so I believe assembly is complete. They also include this little metal tool, and the only thing I can assume is it's for prying this guy open. I was able to get it with a fingernail, but it's kind of nice they include a tool. Fully assembled, this guy comes in at 24 grams without the battery. We throw a battery on the scale, we're up to 31 grams. Rolls pretty well. The instructions say that if you just push the throttle all the way forward and it's sitting on flat concrete, it'll go forward and then eventually take off on its own. Alright, so this is basically a 2-channel transmitter. You have the power switch down here. This guy's throttle, and this guy is your left-right control, which is achieved by varying the amount of thrust out of those two guys there. Now up on the top button here it says a high and low speed button, so you can apparently change between high and low speed. Over here there's something for light control. These buttons here are left and right trim adjustments, so when this thing is centered, if it starts swerving left or right, you can adjust the left and right trim with those buttons there. So this battery compartment has a spot for a screw to secure the batteries, but the box says 14 plus and they do not include a screw there. So to open and close it, you simply lift that little snap. Alright, there's plenty of room in there to get the battery and push the wire back in. Now when you turn this on, oh, there are the lights. So when you turn this on, the lights flash. It says take this all the way to the bottom, turn it on. It beeps. The thing went solid, and now we should have throttle control. All right. Okay, so the light button does control the lights. Push it once, it beeps, they turn off. Push it again, it beeps, and they flash. So it's on-off control for the lights. So double beep or single beep is probably your speed control. Let's do double beep. Alright, let's try single beep. Well, it sounds about the same. It might just be the throttle ramping. So I'll have to play with that once it's in the air. Alright, let's try runway takeoff. Well, it goes very straight up when the throttle's at full power. Alright, now we're going to try if I can keep it in level flight after it takes off. I backed the throttle down quite a bit, but it didn't level off. Alright, so after that hit, both of these guys came off, and one of the motor safety brackets came off. So I'm going to put the bracket back on. We're going to try flying it without the vertical stabilizers, because there seems to be likely to come off anyways. Let's see how it works without vertical stabilizers. Alright, test flight, no vertical stabilizers. Seems like maybe the vertical stabilizers are needed to keep this thing going straight. Unless my wheel got bent. Looks about okay. Try that again. That was me. I pushed off to the right and it went to the right. Alright, so this time the propeller came off in addition to the propeller guard. Everything seems to be snapping on pretty well. Try this again. Alright, this time the propeller and the guard came off. Might be time for a hand launch attempt. Alright, we're going to try a hand launching attempt. Hit the tree, but I recovered. And almost out of sight. Alright, it wasn't easy, but I did keep it up in the air for probably a good 30 seconds, 45 seconds. I had some type of control until I hit that tree over there and it landed over behind a couple of fences. Alright, I am not a professional pilot, and I was able to kind of drive that thing around the sky for at least 30 seconds, 45 seconds before I hit a tree. And I have a good number of trees to choose from. I didn't get it stuck on the roof. I navigated past several trees, went over the house several times before it got into a tree, so control surfaces are reasonable. Now, I did lose a vertical stabilizer, so I'm going to remove the other one and fly without either of them. No vertical stabilizers. It would fly pretty well except for the trees. It's a good thing they provide spare propellers because I've lost one. Alright, so I lost a propeller before I ran the battery down, but it was pretty reasonable for this price point of a little remote controlled aircraft. It seems to fly pretty well without the vertical stabilizers, so I don't think you need those. It's hard for me to say for sure because I only had a couple of flights before I lost one, but the flights after I lost one and took the other one off seemed to be about as controllable as the first flight. So you have reasonable turning control, but it has a wide turning circle. So you definitely need someplace bigger than a backyard with trees in it. I think a football field size area or bigger would make this really well. I never crashed it into the ground because I lost control vertically. I crashed it a lot because I hit a tree and it fell out of a tree. Or, there's one time I think it went into a house because I was turning the power up and down. But basically, it's pretty well, propellers falling off are the biggest issue I've had in these vertical stabilizers. But the main body, nose cone, had no problems. I hit several trees in an outbuilding with it. So up and down control is a little tricky. It glides quite well if you just turn the thing off. Now, when you have it off, if you try to turn, it's going to add some thrust just because it needs to thrust to turn. So you can never have it completely off if you're turning. But when you turn it off, it glides pretty darn well. It doesn't need much to maintain level flight, just a little bit to maintain level flight. When you crank it all the way up, it will start going into a climb, and you have to be sure to crank it down before it gets into a climb like this, because then if you crank it down, it'll just fall and stall. So, while it's going up like this, you want to dial it down so it can kind of level off. So pretty decent control for a 2-channel controller. I think, if you were paying $25 for this, I think that would be a very reasonable amount to pay for this. Tried flying it without the landing gear. It looks like the landing gear might be necessary for stability. So it is possible to fly this without the landing gear. It seems to turn, not necessarily turn sharper, but rotate like this sharper without the landing gear hanging off of it. So it might be better to keep the landing gear on while you're learning to fly it, but I think you might get slightly more maneuverability without the landing gear. And unfortunately, you can't just put it back in the box like this because these guys do stick above the cardboard just a little bit. So you do have to snap these blade propeller guards off to store it in the box if you want to store it in the box itself. And they're not super difficult to snap off, but they do have a little clip in there that, you know, when you put them on, they kind of clip in a little bit. So it takes just a little bit of work to get them off.